You think you're doing everything right. But the truth is, there is this one hidden habit that is silently destroying your manifestations. Although it doesn't feel like it, the law of assumption is still an infallible law, and it's you who is sabotaging your manifestations. And I don't blame you for it, because you are doing it without even realizing it. In this video, I'm exposing to you the real reason your manifestation is failing, even though the law is still working. I'll show you how you've been sabotaging your desires without even realizing it, and exactly what to do to stop. First of all, let's address the inconsistency in your manifestations. Why can't we manifest some things while others seem impossible? You have visualized someone liking you back, and the next day they ask you out. You might have been running late, and yet the train arrived at the same time you did. You were ready to purchase something at full price, and when you decide to order, you see you've got a $100 discount. You are absolutely convinced that this was the worst exam of your life, yet you passed with flying colors, or at the very least you didn't fail. Whatever your successful manifestation may be, you can manifest, and you have evidence to back that up. But then there's just this one thing that feels impossible. No matter how much you affirm, visualize, or script, it just does not happen. So naturally, you feel disempowered. You want to give up, and you start to question, how legitimate is the law of assumption really? You find reasons as to why you failed to manifest what you want. You tell yourself that maybe you have too many blockages, or too much resistance. It might be that there are so many beliefs that you still have to change, or that this one circumstance is simply unfixable. I feel you. I have been there. I sometimes still go there. But please take it from me. All of this is BS. You are here because you can manifest some things, while other things are impossible for you. Let's talk about to what degree the statement is actually true. This will be a first step to find out what you have gotten wrong about manifestation. So, why do some manifestations happen instantly, while others don't happen at all? Think about the things you have successfully manifested. I'm sure there is a lot. But can you name just 5 off the top of your head? It doesn't matter if they're big or small. It doesn't make a difference whether they're mundane or the most miraculous thing in the world. Everything favorable in your reality is a successful manifestation. You ran into your favorite colleague on your walk. The cafe across the street now carries your favorite beverage. Your grumpy neighbor was in a good mood when you had to pick up a parcel from him. Your crush from 5 years ago who never liked you back now is into you. Your pay raise was larger than expected. Hopefully recalling your own manifestation success stories reminds you just how powerful of a manifester you already undeniably are. Manifestation is in your nature. It's an ability that no one can take from you. Now let's look at the things that haven't manifested yet. The ones where you feel that the law of assumption is failing you. The reason you clicked on this video. You can't quite put your finger on why it's not working. And you feel super unlucky. But let me tell you, just because you can't fully figure it out yet, doesn't mean that it's a coincidence. It's not a matter of luck if you'll successfully manifest. The key difference between successes and failures is not luck. Assuming that the outcome of a manifestation is random and depend on something outside of you is the wrong way to go. You have to understand that the outcomes differ because the way you treat your manifestations differs. A person who struggles with inconsistent manifestation believes that the outcomes of their manifestations are random and up to something outside of them. Someone who always gets what they want knows that manifestation is all about them and they turn their focus inward. There is one common denominator in successful manifestations. So here is a very fundamental truth. The things that manifest for you or the things where you actually put in the work. Emphasis on actually, but we'll get to that later. You either took logical steps toward them, or at the very least you didn't actively work against them, whether that be consciously or subconsciously. That is because you felt that they were in your control. They were in your playing field. You had influence over them. They were not up to the universe. You felt that you had a say in this matter, and that your desire is available to you. When we feel that something is in our control and available to us, that's when we actually put in the work to successfully manifest. This is because it feels easy, natural, and effortless. But how do we approach manifestations that we deem out of our control? How do we treat the desires that don't manifest differently? After all, we know that all things are equal, and that the manifestation process is the same for every desire. The answer is, it's emotional triggers. When emotional triggers come into play, the way we treat our manifestation changes. The things that we manifest successfully are the things that are within our comfort zone. They are the ones where manifesting feels easy and effortless, and where instant manifestation is possible. Every desire that is outside of our comfort zone is an emotionally charged manifestation, and your manifestation process will be impacted by emotional triggers. An emotional trigger could stem from a painful experience, a deep-rooted belief, or just a poor self-concept. Let's say you're manifesting your dream relationship with a specific person. You have only dated toxic men in the past. So obviously your past and what you wish to experience are vastly different from each other. Your brain is experiencing disharmony, and all the negative emotions that are linked to the past are coming to the surface. This is how your brain is attempting to resolve a conflict. Your brain is trying to help you. Your brain is reminding you of what your most dominantly held beliefs are. Your brain is wired to cling to what's familiar, even if it's limiting or untrue. It will defend your old story with all it can, because it equates familiarity with safety. This shows up as emotional triggers. But just because your brain resists change, doesn't mean the old story is true. It's not about truth, it's about survival. Maybe the thing that feels impossible for you to manifest is your dream career. You grew up without money, and specifically, your parents struggling to find a job is something that has impacted your childhood a lot. So, when you affirm for a dream career, your brain is once again irritated by the conflict that your new affirmations bring about. It wants to remind you that it's not typical for you to have your dream career, and that that's something that's not even available to you. Emotional triggers occur when your new story clashes with an old one. Emotional triggers are the brain's means to cope with cognitive dissonance. Did you notice how I didn't say there was something wrong with your circumstances for triggering you? And I won't say it. Emotional triggers happen in the brain because of the brain, not because of circumstances. And you're not emotionally triggered because there is something inherently wrong with your manifestation. Do you want to learn more about how your brain is seemingly the problem and why circumstances therefore really don't matter? Do you want to stop giving your circumstances the power to decide whether or not you'll manifest for good? Feel free to subscribe, because I will be making a video to help you with that. You're not triggered because of your circumstances. You're triggered because of your beliefs. Essentially, an emotional trigger is anything that puts you in a headspace where your emotions overtake you. But how exactly are these beliefs holding you back? Where is it that they derive their power from? And how can we get our power back from them? Think about your most impossible desire right now. The one that feels like an exception to the law of assumption. Is it something that you consider a failed manifestation, or something that you're not even trying to manifest because you simply think it's impossible? When you think of this impossible desire, what happens? This will be different for every situation. But at its core, what happens is that negative emotions rise to the surface. And here's how it becomes a problem. how it makes sure that your manifestations don't become successes. We don't actually notice when it's happening. So it's really important for us to learn to recognize it when it's happening. And it's something we can practice. The first step to taking your power back is to notice when an emotional trigger happens. It's in this very moment that you get to decide whether your manifestation will succeed or fail. If you don't hand your power to negative emotions, they won't be able to make sure that your manifestation isn't a success. It's this exact moment that determines whether your manifestation is a success. It's not luck. Will manifestation fail you again? Or will you finally manifest what you want? It's your decision to make in this very moment. When emotions take over, logic disappears. That is just how our brain works. It's a survival mechanism that doesn't really serve us when we manifest. Are you curious about the way your survival brain affects the way you manifest? Do you want to know what challenges it comes with? And most importantly, how to rewire your brain for creation so it actually helps you get what you want instead of standing in your way? Stay tuned as I will be making a video about that. With logic out of the window and emotions running high, what happens is that you stop persisting like you logically know you should. Instead, you're starting to try to justify not putting in the work. When everything is going right with your life and your manifestations, you're super optimistic and you naturally stay on track with your mental diet. But when something goes wrong, when you find something triggering you, you have thoughts like, manifestation works for others, just not for me. You know what? This situation is just different. Maybe this specific thing just isn't meant for me. Your first reaction when you hear this is probably along the lines of, wrong, I'm powerful, there are no exceptions to manifestation, and everything I want is meant for me. What are you talking about? Of course I know these things are not true. My point right now is not trying to tell you something new. Instead, I want you to think about why you let those very things you know to be dead wrong be the reason that you're unable to manifest. You don't need more manifestation hacks or motivation. You need to learn how to stop your emotions from taking over your mind. Why do you know so much about the law of assumption, and yet you sometimes feel helpless? The answer to this paradox is that what you now know to be an excuse in an emotional moment feels like an undeniable fact to you. You need your logic to observe, to act rationally, and most importantly, to apply what you know about manifesting. But in that moment, when emotions are taking over and you let it happen without making the decision to take control of them, when you let yourself be controlled by your emotions, you let your limiting beliefs win. You give your beliefs power. You act on those beliefs, which you don't even want, instead of what you actually know to be true about law of assumption. And it's always your decision if you want to be controlled by your emotions or if you want to control them, and therefore the outcome of your manifestations. In short, an emotional trigger shifts your mindset. Suddenly, your excuse feels like a fact, and you act on that supposed fact by not following the process. And trust me here, it's 100% possible to not let your emotions ruin your manifestations. It's possible to be strong in those moments, even though you haven't been in the past. It's a skill like any other skill that you have to practice. It's a skill that you can master. Constructively dealing with your emotions is not this rare gift that only the lucky ones were endowed with. While it might not be easy, it's totally worth it. And most importantly, it's the key denominator whether your manifestations will come true or not. Your ability to not let your emotions run your brain will determine whether you'll manifest. Here's a powerful micro habit to help you stay in control of your mind. Whenever you're doing your manifestation work or just living your day, and a negative emotion comes up, pause and ask yourself, what belief is this emotion revealing? The goal isn't to fight the feeling, but to see through it. Catch whatever old story your brain is trying to run on autopilot before it hijacks your emotional state. Right now, comment, I am stronger than my emotions. It's the first step to rewire your brain and take back your power, for good this time. The main point I'm trying to convey to you is that when something feels impossible, your focus should be on your emotions. It should be on you and not the circumstance itself. It is a circumstance that makes those emotions arise, but it's the emotion that actually influences your behavior if you let it. And in the end, it's your behavior that determines whether you'll manifest or not. A circumstance in itself is neutral. It's meaningless until the moment that you observe it. It only gains meaning through your brain's interpretation of it. And how your brain perceives any circumstance depends entirely on the beliefs it already holds. That means the root of the problem doesn't come from the outside, it starts in the brain. The circumstance just brings that internal pattern to the surface. It didn't create a problem that wasn't already there, which is why the circumstance itself remains neutral. What your reaction is always in your control. The moment you start taking responsibility for that is when you'll be able to manifest everything you want, instead of throwing it all away in an emotional moment. Now, on to the next topic of the video. Your dominant thoughts still create. Your circumstances don't matter, your thoughts do. If you've ever manifested something successfully, which I know you have, don't try to downplay it. 10 failed manifestations don't erase the skill it took to make even one successful manifestation happen. If you did it once, you can learn to do it again. Well, you already know the truth. Your dominant thoughts create. But when you let excuses take over, for whatever reason that may be, you're choosing to utilize the law of assumption to work against you instead of in your favor. Whatever happens, you are in control of the thoughts you think. So the action you take towards your manifestation is in your control as well. There are two ways you can behave when you are met with a circumstance or the emotional trigger it evokes. When you allow your emotions to control you, you are choosing to adhere to the old story. You're taking action towards recreating what you don't want. The other option is the logical one that aligns with what you know about manifestation. It's thinking in your favor, and you are therefore taking action towards creating what you do want. This is essentially what you have done that stopped you from manifesting. And I'm very convinced that now you're informed enough to stop doing it for good. So resistance in itself is completely normal and okay. But what you have done is, you felt that resistance, and instead of pushing through, you gave up. You have to remember that resistance is actually your cue to keep going. Resistance is not a stop sign. Yes, this is hard. It's a breaking point. And exactly how you choose to behave in this moment is what will determine whether you'll manifest successfully or not. And honestly, why are you putting in all of this work when you're just gonna let yourself cave in those hard moments just like everyone else does? The truth about failed manifestations. Everyone can say their affirmations when they feel good and when things are going right. But the reason that so many people won't get their manifestation is precisely that they give up in those moments. Don't be one of them. I know you can do better. So please, just stop justifying your inaction. When we justify breaking the rules of manifestation, we don't actually put in the work, even though 99% of time we did. The actual important work has to happen in these exact moments. The actual important work is when it gets difficult. This is the exact moment where your old beliefs leave their seats, get up for a second, and try to prove themselves. This is your old story. It's unfavorable, but your brain prefers it, simply because it's familiar. It has a seat in your mind. It owns the place. And as long as it stays there, that same story will keep playing out. But the moment you actually challenge that belief, the moment you make it so uncomfortable, it has to prove itself, it gets up, it leaves the chair. And here's the thing, because it's your brain's favorite, it takes a lot for that belief to let go of its seat. You know it's being threatened when you get emotionally triggered. After all, it's not a circumstance that triggers you, it's a threat to a familiar story that does. When the old and new story clash, the seat becomes empty. If you hold on to the new story, especially when it gets uncomfortable, that new story takes the seat. And once it does, all the work is done. That new story will now rule your reality with the same power the old one did. And that's how real rewiring happens, and that's how you shift your reality. And that is what I mean by you have to actually put in the work. And this is how it looks like when you put in the work 100% of the time. In these moments, you get to decide for good what story is true for you and what story is not. It's in those moments that the new story can trade seats with the old story. It might feel like persisting is not even an option, and that you're forced to give in to excuses. No person and no thing, including emotions or circumstances, can take away your ability to manifest what you want. Following the process is always a choice that is available to you. This is what I meant when I said that you actually have to do the work and not lie to yourself. Making excuses, as valid as they may seem, is not actually putting in the work. Do you understand how the law of assumption has never failed you, but it was actually you who was sabotaging your manifestation without realizing or intending to all along? The worst mistake you can make? Labeling your desire as impossible, giving it up, and settling for something more realistic. And realistic is actually subjective anyway. Realistic is not actually set in stone or a matter of fact. The only reason we think that realistic things are easier or more probable to manifest is because they require us to face less discomfort. That's it. Unrealistic things are just as possible and probable to manifest as realistic things. The reason you feel that unrealistic things are harder to manifest, they're more difficult, they require you to put in more work, you have to try harder. The reason for that is that you have to face more challenges. By challenge, I mostly mean dealing with emotional triggers. Quick summary, what you should do if you don't want to get your manifestation. Let your emotions convince you to stop scripting, visualizing, and persisting. Conversely, quick summary, what you should do to finally get everything you want, every single time. Recognize that resistance means you're uncovering limiting beliefs and that you're pushing through them. Another important fact to remember is that the law works whether you believe in it or not. So your focus shouldn't be on trying to convince yourself that the law of assumption works. Your focus should be on actually putting in the work. You don't have to believe, you just have to follow. If you're putting in all the work, if you're doing everything correctly, yet you have this belief that manifesting doesn't work, guess what? You'll still manifest. You'll still get everything you want. You don't need to label something as manifesting in order for it to become a manifestation. And this is a common pitfall. If someone, on the contrary, does believe that the law of assumption works, and they keep telling themselves that it works, but every time it gets hard, they let their emotions control them. They start spiraling, they stop putting in the work. They can tell themselves that manifesting works all they want. They're not doing it correctly, and it won't work for them. That person can believe all they want. As long as they stop affirming when things get hard, they won't manifest what they want. In other words, you don't stop manifesting when you stop affirming. What you actually do when you stop affirming, you stop utilizing the law of assumption to your benefit. Instead, you're now using it to create unfavorable things for you. You're not just giving up on your manifestation. You're also, whether you like it or not, you're also actively recreated the unwanted thing. There is no neutrality. You always create something, whether it's favorable or unfavorable. Giving up is not equal to non-creation. You can think what you want about the law of assumption. It works irrespective of your opinion of it. Whatever you do, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, you're either applying it in your favor or using it in a way that works against you. Instead of allowing fear and doubt to dictate your actions, make the conscious decision to utilize the law of assumption to your advantage.
The most important actions to get what you want.
Last but not least, let's get to 3 concrete steps you should be taking to successfully manifest every single time. Stay consistent. Keep affirming, scripting, visualizing, persisting, especially if it gets hard. Detach from excuses. The moment you catch yourself spiraling, remind yourself that this is your old belief system talking, and that you're not required to listen to it. You get to choose new and favorable thoughts, even though they might not feel as familiar as the old ones yet. Step 3, arguably the most important one. Don't be so hard on yourself. Trust the process. The law is not broken. The only thing that needs fixing is the way you're applying it. Before you go, I want to leave you with a powerful journaling prompt, because this is where the real shift happens.
What is one desire I've labeled as impossible? And what emotional story from my past is really behind that belief?
Write it down. Let it be as honest and messy as it gets. This is where you start rewiring your reality. If you're anything like me and you love these kind of journaling deep dives, there's a free worksheet linked in the description, where you will be guided to get to the emotional root of your triggers. By the way, I'm Leo. Nice to meet you. I've been studying manifestation for well over 7 years now, and I'm convinced that everyone has what it takes to manifest. I believe that manifestation isn't supposed to be difficult. And when it feels hard or like it's not working, it's because your mindset is in the way. And I'm here to help you shift that. If you're ready to never feel stuck in manifestation ever again, make sure to subscribe. You won't regret it.